been seeing that talked about a lot on social media, at least. The players being greedy, they should just take whatever money, take the salary reductions like we all are during this tough time, and just play baseball. Let's go. I'll discuss. I want to get Jared's thoughts on whether he thinks the players are being greedy or not. And again, that'll be at 10:40. We've discussed before, at least a few weeks ago, my thoughts of how the NBA should resume. If the league does end up resuming it and have games, I said no regular season, go right to the playoffs. There's been a lot of discussion, a lot of talk about the different playoff formats that could happen with resumption to the league. We'll discuss those in 9:20 because I think there are some interesting suggestions out there. I think the NBA could take a page out of the NHL's book. I'll tell you what I mean by that again in about 20 minutes or so. You have the most intriguing teams. You have the top 8 teams here. We'll give you 8 through number 5. Most intriguing NFL teams to watch in 2020. We are really now coming to the top. All these teams we'll list here today and then finish up on Monday are teams that we'll all have our eyes on throughout the entire 2020 season. So that'll be numbers 8 through 5, again at 9:40. And then at 10:20, of course, as we know, the fastest growing game show in all of America, 2020 or Apocalypse. Well, if you want to participate, reach out to me on Facebook, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. If you want to tweet at me, WWSRN_radio, or Ryan_Hickey and the number 3, Ryan_Hickey and the number 3. To be a participant, to be a game show contestant, and get on 2020 or Apocalypse. Right now, the leaders are 4-5 and 3-5. We have a tie for each. So, number 1, 5 out of 5, the perfect score is still out there. You can catapult yourself to the top list and guarantee a share of the winnings, which would be gift cards to local establishments of your choice. So there's a prize at the end. First place is still out there. You can guarantee and assure yourself you will be in the money if you go 5 out of 5. So if you want to play, let me know. Reach out and we'll get you on the show either today or in the next few weeks as the game will carry on, really until we run out of content. And thankfully, so far, that is yet to be the case. So like I said, I do want to start here with the biggest story that's going on in the sports world, and that is the latest negotiations between MLB players and owners. And really the question is, are they any closer to a deal? I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago. I apologize for not remembering. I discussed why, basically this is going to get as ugly as it has gone so far, and you're going to have to choose a side, right? Obviously, we all assume and we all are on the same side of baseball coming back. None of us are rooting for the sport not to resume. None of us are rooting that these deals don't get done and that we don't see baseball in 2020, because that would be disastrous for the entire sport, and that will have ramifications for decades. I think not just years, decades going past. So they need to play baseball. And I keep coming back to that as really they have too much to lose. There's too much to lose for the owners. There's too much to lose for the players and the sport and the overall health of baseball, which is dwindling. The NBA is rising. The NFL is rising. MLB is dwindling and shrinking. They need this more than ever. So I keep resting on that thought, at least, that, okay, no matter what happens, no matter what we hear, no matter how mad the players are, no matter how mad the owners are, they both realize they can't have a 2020 season not played, especially because of money. So with that said, you see the latest proposal that the owners put out there. And at first they rumored and threw out the notion that there was going to be a 50-50 revenue split between the owners and the players, something that does not happen in baseball. Every other sport, there's a revenue sharing where the players get a percentage of their revenues. NBA is 50-50. NFL, they're working towards 50-50. They're at 47 and 47.5%. I forget the exact new number with the CBA that was signed and ratified for this year. But baseball, that's not the case. The owners take the revenue for themselves. There's no salary cap in baseball. And really, whatever the players, whatever their salary is, that's what they get. So bonuses, they don't, if the league has a good year, they don't see any of that. So now, instead of proposing that to where basically the players won't see and won't take share of the earnings, they'll just take share of the losses. The owners then proposed on Tuesday, instead of that, they threw out the 50-50 revenue split, and they came with a sliding scale cuts based on how much money you make. So, for example, if a player is supposed to make $35 million this year, in a full 162 season, no pandemic, normal year, they're supposed to make $35 million. Well, the prorated salary, which they already agreed to, cut that in half, is about, not great with math, I forget the exact number, but you prorate it down, you cut it in half, it's about, let's see, quick math, it's about 18 and change, or a little less, 17 and change. And now you cut that again with their sliding scale pay cuts, it would be about $7.85 million. So you have a player who's supposed to make 35, he's going to end up making, if they agree to the second pay cut, $7.85 million. Huge haircut, right? And this applies to every single player. There's the scale. The more money you make, basically, the greater percentage that you're going to sacrifice. if you make the minimum, it's not going to be that much of a loss, but it's still a major loss. So the minimum wage for a regular MLB season, $563,500. So just about $500,000, let's just say, to make it easy. That'll go down to $262,000 if these players accept these second rates. So obviously you cut that in half for the prorated salary, and then you lose about 10%. So anywhere between 10 and 70% to cut off the prorated salary is what the owners proposed in the latest negotiations. And the players are very, very, very upset. And apparently their counter argument, from what I've been reading these last few hours, is that they will counter with more games. So right now the proposal is 82 games. They want to counter with 100 games and guarantee their prorated salaries. And obviously, the more games that are played, the more money they make, because their deal and their hope is to make as much money, or they're going to make money per game. 82 games, you're going to get basically half your salary. 100 games, obviously, you'll get more than that. And again, I've still been seeing a lot of social media accounts, a lot of people calling out the players, calling them greedy, siding with ownership in this example. And it's frustrating because, you know what? Yes, we are not closer to a deal. That is absolutely not the case, unfortunately. To answer my own question, it's getting tougher and tougher to believe that a deal is going to be done, because guess what? You see the frustration that a lot of the players have with these latest proposals, and it seems like they're not going to back down. And here's why, at least, I think you should still, if you're going to get on a side, why you should still back the owners in this argument and really double down and have their side. So I want to read you Max Scherzer's latest tweet. He tweeted this last night, and he is on the MLB executive subcommittee, 8 players. So he is really, in these negotiations, really out here trying to help the players and get a deal done. He tweeted this last night, quote, "After discussing the latest developments with the rest of the players, there's no reason to engage with MLB in any further compensation reductions. We had previously negotiated a pay cut in the version of prorated salaries, and there's no justification to accept a second pay cut based upon the current information the union has received. I'm glad to hear other players voicing the same viewpoint and believe MLB's economic strategy would completely change if all documentation were to become public information." And there's a guy, so MLB, what they are trying to do here is essentially put the players against themselves. With this sliding scale pay cut that they're proposing, right, where the players making the most money will take the biggest haircut, will take the biggest loss of salary for this year, and the guys making the minimum salary would, again, it's about a 10% second pay cut is what they're proposing. They want the players to basically fight against each other, because guess what? They realized, and Kevin Pillar thankfully tweeted this out to add some clarity. Most of the Major League Baseball players are making $1 million or less. There's not that many Bryce Harpers out there, or Mike Trout, or Max Scherzer, who's making over $30 million a year. Kevin Pillar tweeted this out. I think it's very important to understand this. He tweeted out, 65% of Major League ball players make $1 million or less. Now, why is that significant? Because those players that are making that little money are seeing the smallest cut. So if the majority of players are going to be receiving the smallest cut, wouldn't you think that they rally together, get together and say, you know what? All right, our salary is going to cut in half. We agreed to that. So if I'm making the minimum, my salary is going to be, again, basically cut in half, and I'm only going to lose 10% more of what they're proposing. You know what? Fine. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's not the biggest cut. I'll just accept it. Let's play ball, because guess what? Half of, what I'm supposed to make is still better than nothing. And a lot of these players aren't financially set long-term that a lot of these big-time stars are. Bryce Harper can afford to miss a season. Same with Mike Trout. Same with Max Scherzer. Same with Garrett Cole. These guys, God forbid, if we don't play baseball in 2020, they can go without the $36 million they're going to get this year, or $35 or $30 million. They'll be okay. But a lot of these players aren't okay. Again, over half the league, 65%, are making $1 million or less. So the owners are banking on and hoping for the fact that the players and the majority of players that make little money are going to get upset of the minority of players that make a lot of money being upset about the proposal, getting another massive pay cut, and then basically have some infighting occur. That's their goal. They've wanted this the entire time. They've wanted infighting to occur as soon as they put the initial 50-50 revenue split proposal out there. They want players to publicly voice their frustration. Why do you think there's no owner? There's no general manager. There's no no one in the front office or in ownership has spoken on the record publicly since really these negotiations began. Why do you think that is? They see the players speaking out. They see the public backlash of the players being viewed as greedy. and automatically siding with the owners because they aren't talking. But it's easy to forget. I want to bring light to this. It's easy to forget. The owners, first of all, if they're going to operate at a loss, which, again, everyone has been operating at a loss so far in 2020, right? There's no industry, for the most part, that's been unaffected, unless I guess you have stock in Amazon. But outside of that, the owners have a great chance to make up the lost revenue this year in further years. And here's what I mean by that. So the average MLB career, basically 5.5 years, right? 5.6 years is the average MLB career. Now, the average time, so the current, all 30 owners right now, the current timeline of an ownership is 15.5 years. So each owner has been in place for roughly 15 years. The average player career, 5.6 years. Why this is important? Because revenues in baseball keep on going up. Last year, MLB raked in $10.7 billion in gross revenue. And why is that significant? That's his 17th consecutive season. Revenues continue to grow and surpass the year before. So owners see baseball, despite the lack of viewership, despite they're struggling to kind of latch onto this younger generation of cord cutters, essentially bring them in to where those fans, those millennial fans, are going to the NBA and the NFL and not watching MLB. Despite all of that, they're still raking in millions and billions of dollars year after year. Again, 17 straight seasons of revenues growing is very impressive. And sure, they'll have a dip in 2020, but I don't see a reason why, once things get back to normal, as close to normal as possible, once the economy recovers, once we're all back to working, unemployment has really significantly been cut down, baseball revenues are still going to grow. And there's no reason to think that they're going to decrease at all. Television deals are starting to kick in a few years, so more revenue is going to be pumped into the league. They will be making more money year after year after year after 2020. So guess what? They're going to be able to take a bath on 2020. They're going to be able to make up for the lost salary because guess what? They're in it for the long run. This is a long-term play here for the owners. Again, when the average ownership currently is 15.5 years, you can afford one down year and make up small, each year have revenues increase. You'll make up that lost season eventually. Players don't have that luxury. When your average lifespan in Major League Baseball is 5.5 years, basically what's going on right now is 20% of your peak earning potential is one season as this year. So why would you not try to get as much money as possible? Why would you allow owners who are already billionaires, who already have tons of money, to basically pocket more of your revenue that instead of going to their salary, into your bank account, is going to their bank account? I think we have to keep pushing and realizing the long-term gains here for the sport of baseball and for the owners are way more important than the short-term losses. The short-term losses affect the players more than it affects the owners. But the long-term gains from playing in 2020, from possibly being the only league to resume safely, right? NHL is going to try, NBA is going to try. There's no guarantee that they can pull it off safely. There's no guarantee they're even going to try to resume. Right? NBA has been talking, the NHL rolls out their playoff format. They still have a lot of negotiations to go in order to get players back on the ice, get practicing, and get a season resumed. So theoretically, there's no guarantee that either of these sports can resume, and if baseball can resume and do it safely, they'll be the only sport on for a while. Those long-term games are going to go through the roof if baseball comes back, if they're the only sport back, and they really are the ones and the catalysts to kind of bring normality and normalcy back to our living rooms. And we will quickly forget the public fighting of the money. We will quickly forget which side took the sacrifice in the short term, because guess what? The long-term gains are going to benefit the owners way more. And I'll say this too. Operating at a loss for 1 year isn't going to kill these owners. 29 of the 30 MLB teams right now are all valued over $1 billion by Forbes. And the one that's not, the Miami Marlins, are at $980 million. So essentially, they're all close to or over $1 billion valuation by Forbes. So sure, no one wants to operate at a loss, right? Obviously, that's a big deal. All you want to see is revenues keep going up. But operating at a loss in one shortened season isn't going to kill these owners. It's not going to ruin them. And more importantly, if they do operate at a loss, that means that they gave the players what they want, and that means that baseball will come back, and they actually, I think in the long run, will see more revenue and be a greater gain. And let's go with the worst case scenario. Let's say that this pandemic is really hurting an owner or two. If this season does go on and they give the players prorated salary and they really can't afford to do so, Sell the team. Your team is valued over $1 billion. You will get a lot of that money back you lost in 1 year. So to me, this is all about the long-term play for the owners. They have to realize, and I think they do realize, that if they play the season, their long-term revenues are going to continue to increase, continue to grow, and they'll make up the lost money. The issue is they're still trying, and they're still focused on getting as much money in the short term as possible, instead of realizing, hey, the long-term gains are always going to be greater than the short term. Play for the long game. Ownership, owners are here for the long game. They're not here for 4 or 5 years like a player. The ownership lifespan is 3 times the amount of an average player career. And the revenues, again, 17 consecutive years have only continued to grow, only continued to increase. So they will see that money and they will make it up in the long run. So to me, that's why it's very important, and why I'm siding with the side of the players who are making the sacrifice, already have cut their salary in half, and are the ones taking the risk, by the way. The ones going on the field, you can roll your eyes, look at the numbers and tell me that, 20 and 30-year-olds are basically the safest of the population when it comes to the coronavirus. But can anyone guarantee that? Can anyone guarantee me that if you get sick, you won't pass away? We've seen folks in all different age groups get sick and unfortunately sometimes succumb to the virus. Not to mention, if you're at risk, or if you have a wife, children, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles that are at risk, and you're still playing, you're exposing yourself every single day. Is taking 2 pay cuts worth putting your family's life and their health on the line? No. That's why it's imperative and important for me that the owners are the ones who take a short-term loss here and obviously recognize the long-term gains are way greater than the short-term loss. So I have to get your thoughts. Are you on the owner's side? Is it really on the players for them to come together to sacrifice? Do you like this sliding scale where the players making the most money are the ones who are going to cut the most money? So I'd like to get your thoughts on if the owners should be the ones to shoulder the loss for one season, or are the players being greedy? I've seen that take a lot on social media. $1 million is still $1 million. Get out there and play. You're playing a kid's game. Do you think the players are being greedy, just need to take the deal and get back on the field? Or are you with me? Is it on the owners? They have to take the short-term loss here. They can afford it. And in the long run, they're here longer and can make up that money. And the players have already made their sacrifice. It's time for the owners to make theirs. So I'd love to get your thoughts on Facebook, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. If you want to tweet us at WWSRN_radio, WWSRN_radio. Or if you want to tweet me personally, Ryan_Hickey and the number 3. We'll get Jared Diamond's thoughts in about an hour 20 or so of the Wall Street Journal. I would love to know his thoughts. Someone who's in the industry, talking to players, talking to owners, having sources, reporting on these negotiations. Are the players truly being greedy? And then here's another question I want to ask. What are the owners truly losing? Right? We keep hearing, the owners keep saying, they're going to operate at a loss. They're bleeding cash, and obviously they are. I'm not putting that into question. But I want to know, how big is their loss? The players right now, at best case scenario, are losing half their salary. Is that percentage the same or greater? I'd love to get, Jared's thoughts if he has an answer on that. So we'll talk to him again about an hour 20 or so at 10:40 Eastern to finish out the show. When we come back, the NBA, there's a lot of news surrounding how they should return to play. It seems now there's a lot of momentum for the playoff, for returning straight to the playoffs. A few different scenarios for how the playoff could be played are thrown out there. Let's get your thoughts, and I'll give you mine, of the best playoff format for the NBA to finish out this season that's fair for everybody. We'll get to that when the Morning Boys Ryan Hickey return right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It's time to wake up with the Morning Boys on Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And here's your host, Ryan Hickey.
Welcome back into the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It is the Morning Boys, Ryan Hickey, right here on this Thursday morning. Hopefully you're having a great week so far, staying safe and staying sane for sure. As we progress, we slowly are progressing to hopefully finally kind of breaking out of this quarantine and having a semblance, some sort of normalcy for sure, at least here in New York and more specifically Long Island. We finally reached phase 1 of reopening. So a lot of construction, a lot of retail stores. I believe it's pickup and curbside pickup only, but we've reached phase 1. The hospitalizations are down, the deaths are down, the new cases are down. So there's at least, some sort of positivity, some sort of light that we are hopefully finally starting to get our way out of this, and it can have, again, some sort of normal summer, and that is not coronavirus dominated for sure. Hopefully, wherever you're listening to, your state, your county is at least, again, closer to normalcy than we are. Again, we hope everyone is staying safe and, just as importantly, staying sane. So start the show asking the question, are the MLB owners and players any closer to a deal? The latest proposal earlier this week was basically a sliding scale reduction for the players that would cut off anywhere from 10% to the lowest earners to 70% of the highest earners, cut that salary as a second pay cut for the players, as you could imagine. That did not go over very well. And Max Scherzer basically showing the support that everyone's in unity. The players were the owners were basically trying to pit the players against each other. 65% of Major League players make under $1 million. And those players, for the most part, had the least amount of money cut. So the owners, their thought is the majority of players in baseball make $1 million or less. So let's give them the least cut, so that way the majority is on our side. They'll vote it through. And for the minority, despite them being vocal, despite, Mike Trout, Max Scherzer, and Garrett Cole having to take the biggest pay cut, again, they're outnumbered by the majority of baseball players that make, again, $1 million or less. So we'll have them on our side. And Max Scherzer, at least his statement last night, showed that the players are in lockstep. They're all together. And they saw the ownership's attempt to divide them, and they actually, it seems at least publicly, saying that they got galvanized by this, and they are closer together than ever. And despite the guy making minimum wage, right, the minimum salary in baseball, despite him getting the smallest pay cut percentage-wise, he is backing guys like Max Scherzer, guys like Mike Trout, guys like Garrett Cole. And he sees that, that's going to be me one day. I got to back these guys now. So my money in the future when I get there doesn't get clipped. So these guys are all together, apparently. And the owner's plan, at least to try to create some infighting, try to create some controversy, so far at least, has seemed to swing and miss. Love to get your thoughts. On Facebook, Jim LeBruno, I hope I got that right, Jim. I apologize if not. Jim LeBruno writes in, does not sound like they're any closer to me to getting a deal done. He's right. And I'm going to ask Jared Diamond this in about an hour or so, because this is the main question I want to have. Looking at the strike in 1994, we obviously know that the players and the owners are willing, if necessary, if they're so entrenched on their side, to let a season just stop and now resume. 1994 strike, the players and the owners both were so deep on their side, they stopped playing in August, and for the first time, I forget the exact number, since in the 1800s, the World Series is not played. That got a lot of fans upset. I'm curious to get Jared's thoughts on if that strike in 1994, which showed that the players and the owners are both not afraid of a work stoppage that kills public perception, that ruins the season, and again, drives a lot of fans away. If they're not worried about that back then, I wonder how the players and the owners currently view that 1994 work stoppage. Do the players now view that 1994 strike as another reason to hold strong on their side? To where, listen, guys in 1994 did it. Look where we got, look how that helped us in the long run. We're willing to do the same exact thing this year. We're willing to sacrifice the 2020 season in order to get what we want if the owners aren't budging. Or I wonder if they look at that strike and use it as a cautionary tale to say, hey, listen, we went on strike in 1994. Sure, we got what we wanted. But eventually, guess what? It took over a decade for the public perception, for fans to basically come back to baseball to warm up. And that was just in normal circumstances, right? Attendance, average attendance per game didn't reach, I believe it was 31,000 fans and change in 1994. It didn't reach an average of 31,000 fans again to 2006. 12 years. So it took a very long time for the public to accept what happened and finally basically forgive baseball and come back to being fans. I have a hard time in a pandemic when right now morale is very low, when there's nothing really to look forward to, where people are looking for sports as an escape and as a beacon of light to basically have some sort of normalcy back in our lives. I have a tough time if baseball doesn't come back because of money, believing that these fans will come back next year, 2021. Fans will be just as engaged, and revenue that it has for the past 17 years will continue to increase. Because guess what? Fans turn off the tube. If fans stop going to games because they're that upset and stop buying your merchandise, revenues are going to plummet. 17 straight years, revenue has increased for baseball. I have a tough time seeing that being the case if baseball was to not play this year. because of financial reasons. So I hope the players and owners are closer to a deal. I hope they use 1994 as a cautionary tale to say, hey, listen, we struck. We got what we wanted. But it's going to be a long, long, long time, maybe never, if we get this fans back. And hopefully ownership sees that, because guess what? They're the ones with the skin in the game in the long term. Players, again, the players' average career compared to ownership is a third. 5.5 years for players compared to 15.5 years are the average life of an owner right now, having a team. So if the revenues tank in the long run, guess what? The players that are playing right now that are striking, a lot of them won't be too affected. It's the owners that are really going to feel the hurt down the road, which is why I think that they're the ones who need to make the sacrifice in the long term. Need to make the sacrifice in the short term here in order for the long-term revenues to keep on coming in and to keep on growing the game. So for me, I'm backing the players. I'm on their side when it comes to their fight and getting as much money as possible from the ownership, who, again, to me is just trying to be greedy, trying to keep as much money for themselves as possible and have a chance to really put the game in jeopardy long term if they don't move off of that thought process and don't allow players and give players, for the most part, what they want. So again, taking your thoughts on Facebook, Worldwide Sports Radio Network, Twitter, WWSRN_radio. So get your thoughts. And also now I want to get into possibly the NBA. How can they resume? Right? How should the NBA return to play, and what format should they use? A ton, since we got off the air on Monday, a few different suggestions by some pretty big-time people were thrown out there. And I'll give you a few and why I think that these really, all three of these ideas should be merged together into one. I'll explain what I mean. So ESPN Brian Windhorst reported that the season could resume with just the playoffs, and instead of having normal 8 teams in the West, 8 teams in the East playing each other, one plays 8, 2 plays 7, and then the winner of the East plays the winner of the West, like the format that we've seen, for most of our lives. Brian Windhorst is reporting that the league could resume and seed 1 through 16 based on record. So scratch East and West. Put all the, all 8 playoff teams, 8 from the East, 8 from the West, put those, take the standings currently, and then put them all together and seed them 1 through 16 based on record. I think that could be really interesting. So that's what Brian Windhorst is reporting that the league is contemplating. And again, none of these are confirmed. These are all just thoughts of different ways that the NBA could resume. Now, Mark Cuban, owner of the Mavericks, really had an outlandish and pretty out there suggestion. Here's what he suggested earlier this week when doing numerous radio hits throughout the week. He suggested 5 regular season games for everybody. So bring all 30 teams back, play 5 regular season games, have 20 playoff teams. And of those 20 playoff teams, have the bottom 4, so he would seed 1 through 20, have the bottom 4, 17 through 20, play basically a play-in game for the postseason. So the bottom 4 teams play each other. The 2 winners will move on, and they will play the 8th seed in the best of 5 series. So he would basically seed them 1 through 20. Bottom 4 teams play each other, then break it up back to the normal bracket of 8 teams on each side. So the 2 winners would basically become the 8 seeds, and they would play the number 1 seed, the Lakers and the Bucks, in a best of 5 series. And then after that, the playoffs would resort to normal. So, you have the conference semifinals, the conference finals, and the normal format that we're used to viewing it. And lastly, I think the NBA should kind of tap in a little bit, see what the NHL is doing. The NHL announced their return to play format is going to go right to the playoffs. Their format is going to be a 24-team playoff, to where the top 4 seeds in each conference. So again, they're going to keep the conferences. They're still going to keep the conferences. They're going to have 12 teams in each conference make the playoffs. The top 4 teams in each conference will have a bye, and they'll basically play each other for seeding. So teams 1, 2, 3, and 4 will have a round-robin tournament to see, okay, this is the team that's going to be the first seed, this is the team that's going to be the second seed, third, and fourth seed, based on that tournament that they're going to play. The rest of the teams are going to play each other in a best of 5 series. And then from there, again, have it a bracket format. So as you can tell, wearing a Ranger hat, I'm a Ranger fan. The Rangers would be the 11th seed. They would play the 6th seed Carolina Hurricanes, and I believe after that they would play the 3rd seed of whoever finishes in that round-robin tournament of the top 4 teams. So they're trying to, they're expanding the playoff, but having it in a way to where, sure, teams that were getting hot, that were on the playoff chase in contention could still make it, have a chance, and that's how they decided to split it up. I think what the NBA should do, I think is personally, again, so this is the idea that I'm coming with here. I think it's a great idea. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you like it or not. I think the NBA, what they should do is adopt pieces of all 3 plans, and here's what I mean by that. 20-team playoff format. So go right to the playoffs, 20-team playoff. Because right now, resuming the regular season not only seems pointless, it also seems reckless. The playoffs are where the real money is made for the NBA. So bringing all 30 teams in, bringing teams that have no shot at making the playoffs, like the Knicks, like the Cavaliers, like the Warriors, all you're doing is bringing more bodies in, allowing more players the chance to get sick, get infected, and then spread it. And they spread it to playoff caliber teams. Guess what? The league's shutting down. One positive test is not going to shut the league down, but if multiple players on one team, if teams, plural, have to get shut down, that's when the league shuts down. So my thought is bring as least amount of teams there as possible. So with that said, you bring 20 teams, so you allow only teams that are in the playoff race that have a shot to be motivated to actually play. And the reason why I say this is because you have Damian Lillard, who came out the other day and said he's not playing if his team doesn't have a shot at the playoffs. So Damian Lillard was talking to Yahoo Sports and said, if they resume the league, if they play basically, let's say, 5 to 7 regular season games, because again, the reason why they would do that is to reach a 70-game benchmark for these regional sports network contracts so they don't have to pay them more money. So his philosophy is that if they're going to play these regular season games in order to just fulfill that 70-game requirement so that the league isn't paying or refunding these regional sports networks, he's not going to play. If the Trailblazers don't have a legitimate chance to make the playoffs, he's sitting out. He'll go with the team to Orlando. He'll go through practice. But when it comes to the games, he will sit on the bench because he said there's no point in playing. If my team doesn't have a shot, I'm not going to play. And there are plenty of big-time star athletes right now that are on teams like that. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, the Warriors, are not making the playoffs. Why would they play? Steve Kerr basically already said they're in off-season mode. So you have a lot of these teams that are in the bottom of the league, that their season's been over for months, come out and basically say, I'm not into it. We're not going to, we're already treating this like the season's over for us. We're into off-season mode, and I'm sure a lot of the players are following suit. So that's why, to me, it's reckless and dangerous to resume the regular season because you're going to have a lot of players that aren't into it. And again, more bodies equals more risk of infection, which would take down the league. So it's more dangerous than beneficial to try to resume the regular season. So bring back 20 teams, and here's why I think 20 teams would both help the playoff format, but also fulfill regular season requirements. So here's what I would do. I would allow teams in the playoff race to basically have their just due. So 8 teams in the East, 8 teams in the West, those teams are locked in. Take the next 4 teams, record-wise, and put them in and give them a shot, which would be the Blazers, the Pelicans, the Kings, and the Spurs. Those are the next 4 teams that are closest to the playoffs. Hey, guess what? Damian Lillard's on that Blazers team. And all 4 of those teams are, I believe, at most 3.5 games out. So they're right in the playoff race. So you allow the teams with the 20 best records to qualify. And here's what you would do. Similar to what the NHL is doing with having teams, basically fight it out and play it in. I would have the top 12 teams. So you see them 1 through 20. Similar to what Brian Windhorst was reporting. So you see teams 1 through 20. You have them play each other 5 games to figure out the final seeding. What is that? Why is that? Why 5 games? Because guess what? You can market those as regular season games. Top 12 teams will play a round-robin tournament with each other 5 games to figure out the final seeding. In doing that, you can fulfill these regional sports network contracts for most of them. Obviously, you're not going to fulfill it for everybody. But this allows players to get the rust off, so you're not going right into the playoffs, and the first game they're playing is a playoff game. So you can allow them basically to have an exhibition game or so, have them play 5 regular season games to fulfill those contracts, and get as close to fulfilling those contracts as possible. You knock the rust off, and the top 12 teams, again, can fight it out for seeding purposes. So the bottom 8 teams would play each other in a best-of-5 series. So obviously 8 teams, 4 will win. You slot them in a 1 through 16 format, the last 4 seeds, 13, 14, 15, 16, the playoffs begin. 1 plays 16, 2 plays 15, and from there you bracket it and you go until you have a champion. So I like the idea of seeding 1 through 16. I like Mark Cuban's plan of a playing tournament, which you would have with the bottom 8 teams. Have them play each other, 4 winners, best-of-5 series, slot them as the last 4 seeds in, 1 through 16. You have the top 12 teams play 5 regular season games to figure out final seeding. And guess what? You can use those games as regular season games to, at least for those 12 teams, get it close to fulfilling these regional sports network contracts as possible. And play those, 1 through 16 series and 7-game series. So just for me, it's the fairest way to have playoff caliber teams in the mix, have everyone playing for something that means something. That's something you have to make it to where these games matter, these games mean something. So the top 12 teams would play each other in 5 games to figure out the final seeding. 13 through 20 would play each other. In a 5-game series, those 4 winners would move on, be the last 4 teams in the playoff, 1 through 16. There's your playoff. So it's a little confusing. 20 teams, bottom 8 teams play each other. Seed them 1 through 20. Bottom 8 teams play each other. Those 4 winners move up to be the final 4 seeds in a 16-team setting. Have them play, then just play it out. 1 through 16, 2 to 15 in a 7-game series, and there is your NBA playoffs. So at least to me, it allows for regular season games to still be played, but it doesn't involve every single team, so you're still limiting the amount of bodies, amount of players that are there. So again, the smaller the number, the less rate of infection in theory, or the less percentage of infection, I should say. So it keeps players safe. It tries to add some intrigue to the season. And again, I think it's an exciting way to get the season back off and running, which is what the NBA needs. So I'm curious. Let's get your thoughts. Do you like this idea? What is the best way for the NBA to resume? Should they adopt something similar to a 20-game or a 20-team playoff, or do you think it's too gimmicky? I've seen that too, where people just want to go back to the playoffs like it normally is, 8 teams, East versus West, because that will be the only true way that an asterisk won't be put on the season. I think this is a great opportunity for Adam Silver and the league to test something out, to have a trial run, because guess what? And I want to kind of get this as his own topic. Maybe I'll do it on Monday. I do think the NBA players need some sort of revamping. Baseball truly is any team can win. We saw that with the Nationals as the most recent example, being the wild card team, beating the Dodgers as the number 1 seed, beating the Astros, and winning the World Series. It truly is, once you get in, anyone can win. The NFL is a little bit less like that, but at the same time, one game, anything can happen. You had the 6th seed in the Tennessee Titans make it to the AFC title game. And one game, anything can happen. NHL is similar to baseball. Once you're in, anything can happen. Even in a 7-game series, anything can happen. It's all about who has the hot goalie, who's playing well. And we just saw it last year. The number 1 seed, Tampa Bay Lightning, were swept by the 8th seed, Columbus Blue Jackets. Swept. 8 not only beat the 1, 8 swept the 1. The NBA is the only league where there is basically, there's zero parity in the playoffs. These top teams are winning. You had sort of an upset last year with the Blazers going to the Western Conference Finals, but for the most part, there's no surprise. And I'm not trying to rig a system where, the best teams have a tougher shot at winning. That's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to make it more exciting. So sure, we'll still get the parity. We'll still have the Lakers and the Bucks and the Clippers probably make it to the conference finals respectively. But could we get some excitement going there? So a lot of these series we see, especially early on, are just dustings. 3 or 4 of the most dominant teams are not going to have too much of an issue. So I like the 20-team playoff because it still allows for some excitement. And it has something different to where I think this would be a really good idea, a really engaging idea. So I'll take your thoughts. Worldwide Sports Radio Network on Facebook, Worldwide Sports Radio Network, or WWSRN_radio on Twitter. What is the best way for the NBA to resume? I think it's 20-team playoff, seed it 1 through 20, and then once you knock out the bottom 4 teams, seed it 1 through 16, and start the playoffs, 7-game series as normal. So you can still allow for some regular season games and fulfill those contracts. And again, you still have the excitement of the playoffs and allow all the playoff caliber teams to have a shot. Damian Lillard said he's sitting out if he doesn't have a chance to play. So let's get your thoughts again, either on Facebook, Worldwide Sports Radio Network, on Twitter, WWSRN_radio, WWSRN_radio. We'll get your thoughts on the best way to resume. Because that's obviously another question as well, is an asterisk or no asterisk. I had the argument, I made the argument a few weeks ago, there should be no asterisk on whoever wins. MLB, NHL, NFL, NBA. They're all dealing with the same circumstances. Right? To me, an asterisk is only reserved for teams that cheat like the Astros, for teams that maybe wouldn't have won under normal circumstances, but were because either a season was literally stopped and no playoffs were able to play, or something like that to where, again, something extremely abnormal went on to allow this team to win. Obviously, a pandemic is an abnormal circumstance, right? I'm not trying to diminish the effects of the coronavirus and the effects of a pandemic. But my point is, if every team's affected by it, if every team is dealing with the same circumstances, then isn't that just a level playing field? Now, if the pandemic affected, let's say, 8 of the 10 teams to where they're playing the playoffs, let's just say, for argument's sake, let's let's take a team in the middle. Let's just say the Pacers. We're in the playoffs right now. The Pacers are playing, and they are the only team that doesn't get sick somehow. The other 8 teams in the East, the other 8 teams in the West all get sick. The Pacers are the only team, and the playoffs have to end. Would you crown the Pacers champions because they're the last one standing? If so, there's an asterisk. But if you're dealing with the pandemic, if you're dealing with pandemic circumstances to where everyone's on the same boat, everyone is dealing with the same circumstances, and we all come back, and everyone's a level playing field and an equal opportunity to win, what's the difference? What's the difference between that and any other season? Injuries happen. We don't put an asterisk there. We don't put the Raptors title in question because Kevin Durant basically missed the entire finals outside of 10 minutes. And the team was dropping like flies. You had, towards the end of Game 6, you had Klay Thompson tears ACL. The Warriors were dropping like flies. Do we put an asterisk on the Raptors because they won because of injuries? No. We don't put, a asterisk on the Heat back in 2011 when LeBron James won his first title because they won during a strike-shortened year. They played 66 games. Do you put an asterisk on them? No. There's not really many times that an asterisk is necessary, and I don't think that this year in 2020 it is necessary. So I'd love to hear your thoughts because, again, maybe this is, having a weird playoff format is enough for you to put an asterisk on the champion. I don't. I think that, again, because this is unordinary times, this is a chance for the league to take a risk because I do think their playoffs need revamping to get some interest back, get some excitement drummed up again, especially earlier in the early rounds. I think a 20-team playoff for this year is perfect. I love what the NHL is doing. They're giving every team a chance to win the cup. I love it. To me, I view this, whoever comes out of it as a legitimate winner, and whatever format the NBA does adopt, whether it's Brian Windhorst's going 1 through 16, whether it's Mark Cuban's kind of convoluted playing here that is a little tough to follow, or whether it's something similar to the NHL's playoff format of 24 teams, which is something I'm kind of throwing in there with 20 teams, I think it would be legitimate. So let's get your thoughts, again, either on Worldwide Sports Radio Network on Facebook, Twitter, WWSRN_radio, or if you want to tweet me personally, Ryan_Hickey and the number 3. Also, I forgot to mention this early on, we are on the app. We have our own app, WWSRN on iOS or Worldwide Sports Radio Network on Android. So if you're listening, if you're listening to the show, let's say on Facebook, but you go to the website, worldwidesportsradionetwork.com, to read our articles, which a lot of great written content that's only increasing now. Despite the pandemic, despite nothing going on, our written content is only increasing. So if there's so many different avenues and different ways to access the Worldwide Sports Network content, great news. The app is a one-stop shop for everything. You can read all the articles. You can watch every show. Watch or listen to every show, actually, as well. So that's, boom, there's an option if you don't want to see my ugly mug on the screen. No problem. You can listen. Easy. You can read the articles. YouTube, our producer, Speedy P, does a great job of cutting up clips and putting them on YouTube. So there's a segment you like or that you missed or you want to listen back to, or if we have a guest later on, you want to listen back to it. He cuts up the segments individually into short chunks, so you don't have to go fishing through the show. You can just, boom, click it right there. And, there's where we talked about the players and the owners. The players and the owners fighting over money in baseball. This is the segment I'll listen to. Boom. Nice and easy. So, again, WWSRN on iOS or Worldwide Sports Radio Network on Android. Best way to get all your one-stop shopping done for Worldwide Sports Radio Network content. So, again, we're taking your thoughts. What is the best way for the NBA season to resume? And when we come back, we'll talk with Matt Johnson, fitness instructor and also former Ohio State football player. He is having a fundraiser on Monday. We'll get the thoughts and his info on what the fundraiser is, who it's benefiting, how you can help out when the Morning Boys Ryan Hickey return right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It's time to wake up with the Morning Boys on Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And here's your host, Ryan Hickey.
Welcome back into the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It is the Morning Boys with Ryan Hickey right here on this Thursday morning. Hopefully everyone's having a great Thursday. We're closer to the weekend, and as at least now the weekends could have some sort of hope that we're starting to get somewhat back to normal, having some businesses open up. So again, it is at least nice morale-wise for sure. But really excited to have my next guest. We welcome on Matt Johnson, not only a former Ohio State football player, but also a current fitness instructor. And I'm not sure because, at least for me personally, through this time, I've wanted to give back. I've struggled how. Especially, with a lot of local businesses struggling. I've always wanted to try to get back locally. I live on Long Island, try to support the towns, the restaurants, the bars by me. And, you could do that. You can order out here and there. Or one of my great friends has had some trivia nights where, the money would go benefit, maybe feed essential workers one night or go to somewhere else local another night. So it's been, small ways, but I know for me, I'm still trying to give back, still trying to find a way to help out in this time. And I'm really excited to have Matt Johnson on here because I think he can help us all. If you're struggling just like I am to get back, I think he can help us find an avenue to give back as he is putting on a fundraiser this Monday, June 1st, that is benefiting the Help in Hand Rescue Mission, which you'll hear about here in just a little bit. But Matt, how are you doing this morning? Thanks so much for giving us a few minutes. How are you?
I'm grateful. How are you doing?
We're doing great. We're doing great. Like I said, it's morale is finally starting, thankfully, to turn around, especially here on Long Island, because we entered phase one. We're starting to finally get somewhat back to some normalcy here, especially with the summer rolling around. Especially you being a fitness instructor, what's it kind of been like during this quarantine where obviously people can't go to the gym, but you've kind of innovated differently. How's it been teaching classes online?
It's been great. At first it was hard. I think it was a little hard on people because maybe people think that they can't get things done if they don't have a gym. But there's actually a lot of stuff that you could do at home. There's a lot of things you can use for weights, like a case of water, your tool bag, water bottles, things like that. So it at first it was a little like just convincing people, but as the weeks went on, I think about week 2 after when quarantine started, I feel that people really were not only getting a good result, but also saving a lot of time being at home and creating workouts that they can do on their own if they don't have time. So overall, I think it's really, really good that we can still work out and we don't have to fall all the way off.
Right. Oh, absolutely. So you've been doing a lot of these, these sessions over Zoom. So I'm curious because obviously, the fitness is a main part of your fundraiser, which I want to get to here, the one that's coming up Monday in just a little bit here. But what was your inspiration? What is, your, how did you kind of get into fundraising? And this time, obviously, it's tough because we're all at home. So fundraisers are all basically, for the most part, geared towards doing something in person, where it's a golf outing, an auction, something like that. How did you kind of get in, figure out how to have fundraisers still at home while everyone's still quarantined safely?
My father is a pastor and my mom was a special ed teacher. So giving back is something that was installed in the way I was raised. So it's just natural for me to want to give back. One of my friends said to me, because I was telling him hey, I do want to give back during quarantine. And he said to me, he's like, hey, one of my other friends is doing this challenge online, like a fundraiser challenge. So I thought about that and I'm like, hey, everybody's always with the challenge. So I tagged along with his challenge and I utilized it that way. It's still I just teach free classes. So you don't have to pay for the class. You just come in and then you just support. And I also ask some of my friends that are celebrities from, NFL players to actors to activists to, public figures and influencers. I ask them to come in and inspire you and encourage you to not only work out, but to give. I ask them to give different ways on how they give back, because I gave back based off of what my parents were doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I found somebody else that was just naturally giving back, and I tagged along, or I said, hey, can I help out here, or hey, can I donate here? And the biggest thing about, the fundraiser is really, it doesn't have to donate. Like Monday, you don't have to donate to the Helping Hand Rescue Mission. You could donate to anybody on that day. It doesn't have to be my event. One of the celebrities, when they come in, they have foundations that they've been doing. You could donate to them. So that's really what I did. I just kind of brought a couple of my friends in, mix it with a free class. I'm adding a live DJ to it, and it just I think when you're sincere about it and you really want to give back, and people know you want to give back, they're more willing to give because they know, like, I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for somebody that I could never. I'm doing this for somebody that could never repay me. So it's going to go to somebody that I probably will never meet, somebody that I probably will never talk to. But just being able to be that silent blessing is what I'm looking for. I'm looking to bless people that didn't even know it came from me.
Talking about Matt Johnson, former Ohio State football player, national champion on the 2002 Ohio State team, also current fitness instructor, and like I said, using his fitness instruction online to help benefit local causes around here. So speaking of which, so specifically now, the next fundraiser you have, June 1st, so this upcoming Monday, like you said, benefiting the Helping Hand Rescue Mission. So how did you get partnered with them, and how can people participate? Like, what is this fundraiser? What does it entail? How can people participate and benefit that's upcoming on Monday?
Okay, so the Helping Hand Rescue Mission is a nonprofit organization. I think they feed something like 1,000 people a day or something like that. They're basically a grocery store and a furniture store for people that don't have it. So if you have no food, no money, you need to feed your kids, you can go to the Helping Hand Rescue Mission. I grew up in the Helping Hand Rescue Mission. So my mom and dad did a lot of work there, helping them out, sister games and brother games. So it's just, I wanted to do something in memorial for my mom, because my mom, big thing was always doing stuff with the Helping Hand Rescue Mission. So this is also my way of doing a memorial for her. And then also sister games and brother games. The two people that created Helping Hand Rescue Mission, they died too. So this is also in remembrance for them too.
It's like I said, it's a great cause, especially now more than ever. Really, people do need a helping hand, and unfortunately, like you said, with a lot of unemployment, people don't know where food's coming from. There's a great, obviously, opportunity to allow people who have question marks to have some food and not worry about where their next meal is coming from. So, how can people participate? How can people get involved? They like the mission, they want to help out. What is the fundraiser on Monday? How can people get involved and participate?
Okay, so you can directly donate to the Helping Hand Rescue Mission. That's probably the best way and the fastest way to donate straight to them. My class on Monday is from 8 a.m. in the morning to 6 p.m. at night. It's multiple classes. It's not just run the whole time, but it's different styles of classes. You can check that out through Zoom. My Zoom ID number is 409-271-0746. There's no password, so you could just put the Zoom number in. As soon as you pop up, it'll be live all day. So you could do it that way. I also go live on Facebook and Instagram. So if you don't catch it on there, you can catch me on Instagram. My Instagram name is Matt Johnson _44. And my Facebook is Matt Johnson, MattJohnson.
So if you do want to get involved, that's helpinghandrescuemission.org is the website where, like you said, Matt, you can reach out directly and donate to them. And what was the Zoom ID one more time? Let's say people want to participate. It is a workout class. What is the Zoom number again?
So the Zoom number is 409-271-0746.
All right. So like I said, that's really what the fundraiser is. It's a workout class, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can join at any time. You have all different sorts of workouts throughout the day. So like I said, people give back, and then also you can get a workout in and get your tutelage, which is, like I say, it benefits everyone. You get in shape. You could see some workouts that Matt does. Obviously, being a former athlete, former football player, he knows the best exercises that's going to burn the most calories for you. Stay in shape, which, like you said, Matt, it is speaking for someone who's been trying to work out in his own backyard, per se, it is not easy, for sure, to try to stay in shape and get creative. This is a great idea, a great fundraiser. So, like you said, you are also, being a former Ohio State player, having connections in the NFL, you've said before, with these fundraisers, plenty of former athletes will pop up. You'll be doing a Zoom workout, maybe in the middle of some burpees or something like that. Boom. an NFL player will pop up, talk to you, give some inspiration, kind of all part of the fundraiser for sure. Any names locked in that people could be seeing on Monday?
Yeah, I have a pretty good list of people. I'm super blessed. There's Roy Hall. There's Roy Hall played for the Colts. There is Eric Coleman. Eric Coleman currently is a news reporter for the Jets. Bobby Jackson. Bobby Jackson also played for the Jets for 10 years. My boy Chip Cox. Chip Cox plays for the Montreal Alouettes. Sean Brown. Sean Brown plays for the XFL. Danny Reyes. Danny Reyes is an activist. He's the guy that, with the Jersey Four, the four dudes that got shot in Jersey back in 1998. They were playing college basketball. Macy Alexander, she's an NFL cheerleader. She was for 5 years. Who else? I think it's about 14, 15 people. I also have Kelly Olson. Kelly Olson is the head cheerleader coach for Hofstra University. I thought it'd be good to get, like, not only just players, but, like, people that are in the working world too. I think that's super important.
So like I said, these are all names that could possibly show up on Monday. And like I said, you're working out. Not only do you get a great workout, not only helping raise some money and giving back and feeling good, but like I said, you can get some advice from professional athlete, former professional athlete, those in the business. It's a great opportunity, huh?
Yeah, it definitely is. Being inspired by people like Trevor Costin, Fonnie Moma, and James Brady, just to hear their perspective on, greatness. Right? If you want to be great, ask people that are great. You want to be average, go ask people that are average. You want to be just good, ask for the people that are good. But I believe on great on top of great. So we're great, but we want to sit on top of more great. We want to learn from great people. So that's the best part, the way they inspire. And then also, before they leave, they're going to give us 2 exercises that's their favorites, and we're going to do it for 30 seconds apiece. So I asked each speaker to give us some kind of workout at the end. So I feel like it's cool to hear their perspective on exercise too.
Absolutely. So this is benefiting everyone here. Like I said, if you're just tuning in, we're talking with Matt Johnson, former Ohio State football player, current fitness instructor, and also using his talents for great as he is having Zoom workouts that benefit at least this upcoming Monday on June 1st, the Helping Hand Rescue Mission. Matt does all these workouts via Zoom. So if you have Zoom, his ID number is 409-271-0746, 409-271-0746. We'll also put that on Facebook and Twitter as well. So in case you missed it, it's a lot of numbers, obviously. You can have that and participate. Again, Monday, June 1st, 8 a.m. through 6 p.m. All day, anytime you want to join in. Matt is doing workouts and having some sort of athlete jumping on here, giving some advice, giving you some workouts as you just heard, and really, again, helping benefit this week, Helping Hand Rescue Mission. So Matt, also, so you've been doing these Zoom workouts and looking for charities to help out, not just Helping Hand Rescue Mission, but anyone who has a fundraiser they want attention to, that they want to have a fundraiser for. So how can people reach out to you, set up a fundraiser that, again, could be any charity that they want to benefit? How can people get in touch with you and reach out and have a Zoom workout fundraiser for their charity?
Great question. You can email me directly, and my email is direct, DIRECT, MJ44 @gmail.com. So that's direct MJ44 @gmail.com. Or you can hit me up on Instagram. You can even, if you join the class in Zoom, if you join my class, you can, at the end of class, you can write a message and let me know. I will love to collaborate with people on giving back and donating. I think it's such a great time to do it. I feel like I have one that's coming up in August. I'm working with a nonprofit that saves cats and dogs. And the owner was telling me, she's like, yo, we've been trying to do fundraisers, but we didn't know how to do it. So, if you have a if you have like a company where you feel like we're supposed to be going outside, you can't do the fundraiser unless we're outside, this is a great way to be able to still do it and not have to do much because, you don't have to, I don't have to be in the building. Everybody's going to be home. People are going to support from online. So you could just reach out to me through email, like I said, either social network, Instagram, Matt Johnson _44 is my Instagram, and Matt Johnson is my Facebook.
And then again, that email, direct, mj44@gmail.com. So you're going directly to the source. You're talking to the man himself who can help, again, get your fundraiser going and bring some awareness to a great cause. Matt, I'll finish up with this because I'm just curious, talking to you even before the show, you're a very positive person, right? Corona, obviously the pandemic, it's very easy to get down, very easy to get negative. How are you able to maintain this positive mindset, really, not just throughout the pandemic, but really during your entire life?
Relying on the right friends. Like I cannot do this by myself. So, people showing up to class, that helps out. On Sundays, I have this group that I sit down and I listen to different speeches. That helps out a lot. I take class myself, so I do yoga classes because it helps me meditate. But really, I stay grounded because of the people that's around me. The people I keep close are the ones that want to stay grounded. So we're both checking in. Are you okay? You good? My brother-in-law, he sends me quotes every day. He sends me messages every day. So that's really how I do it. I don't do it by myself. It's really, really the company that you keep and the people that are around you and the people that want you to win.
That's huge, especially now, like I said, we can't hang out with friends, but friends are more important than ever to keep us all sane, keep us with our head up, and like I said, help us get through this together. Because it's so much easier to get through it as a group than it is trying to just fight through this pandemic and this quarantine by yourself. So Matt Johnson, so again, in case you missed it, June 1st is upcoming June 1st. He's having a Zoom workout that benefits the Helping Hand Rescue Mission, which helps donate to food and furniture that anyone who's needy that can go and get some. The Zoom workouts, the Zoom ID 409-271-0746. That's 409-271-0746. 0746. We'll put that on our social media as well in case you missed it. So 8 a.m. through 6 p.m. You can join in at any time. Ton of Matt's friends, former athletes, current athletes will step on it and help give us some advice. So a great cause, again, benefiting the Helping Hand Rescue Mission. And not just that, Matt, I mean, like you said, any charity that wants to have a fundraiser, you are willing to help out. So I'm sure, I know you have plenty to workouts to put on, so we'll definitely have you on again and talk about the next fundraiser you're helping out. And especially being a Penn State alum myself, you're a former Ohio State guy. I hope we have some football this fall or at some point. Got to have you on. I got to talk some smack, hopefully after a big Penn State win. But Matt, we appreciate you joining. Thanks so much for giving us a few minutes. We'll end on that note. We appreciate it, and go crush it on Monday.
Thank you. I like how you just slide that right in there. I like that.
Very subtle, had to get some sort of dig because on the field at least haven't had much to brag about these last few years. So got to find my way where there's no quick retort for sure. But Matt, again, we do appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on and good luck. And we'll definitely be paying attention on Monday.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Ryan.
There's Matt Johnson again, a great cause. Monday, June 1st, Helping Hand Rescue Mission. He's doing Zoom workouts where you can go, join a work at any point, have former athletes on throughout the day. And again, it's raising a great cause, Helping Hand Rescue Mission. We'll put the Zoom ID where you can go on it and join the work at any point on our social media as well. So I do appreciate Matt. And again, former Ohio State guy, I have to throw one dig in there, but he's doing great work. It's always hard to compliment an Ohio State Buckeye coming from a Nittany Lion here, but he is doing great work, and we do appreciate Matt coming on and also giving back. I know, at least for me, this is a great opportunity to where you can give back locally, and it feels good. I know I've at least been trying. It's been hard to kind of find some areas, but Matt and his fundraisers are all about helping locally, and he's doing a great job. So we appreciate Matt. We'll put all the info for the fundraiser that is on Monday out on our social media platforms as well. So when we come back, it's 10:20. What that means, 2020 or Apocalypse, the next hottest sweeping game show will have our next contestant. See if we can do better than my sister Colleen, who got a 1 out of 5. Yikes. When the Morning Boys Running return right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It's time to wake up with the Morning Boys. on Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And here's your host, Ryan Hickey.
Coming in hot, but you hear the game show music. That means on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network right here with the Morning Boys and Ryan Hickey, it is time for this latest installment of 2020 or Apocalypse. Participating this week, a man that I've known for many, many, many years, one of my good friends, high school buddy, now out on the beach, enjoying it out on Long Beach, but really here trying to surpass a low bar that was set on Monday by my sister Colleen, 1 out of 5. Last place, just throwing it out there. It is Christian Maldonado. Maldi, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
Hey, how's it going, man? Glad to be on the show. Thanks for having me, man.
Yo, of course. Thank you for participating. So, in case you don't know, in case anyone's tuning in for the first time, 2020 Apocalypse. We do every show at 10:20. 5 questions. We'll give you a headline. Is this something that happened in 2020, or is this something that happened only in the Apocalypse? Best scores will get gift cards to a local establishment. You being in Long Beach, there's plenty of local establishments out there to support. So right now, Maldi, the leader, 4 to 5. Both Lauren and then my cousin Sarah got 4 out of 5, and then my 2 friends Nick and Mike both 3 out of 5. So right now, top two finishers are in the money, get the prize. So right now, to get in the money, you got to get 3 out of 5. 4 to 5 is first place, but hey, to ensure yourself you're in the money no matter what, 5 out of 5 is still out there, still attainable. Are you ready? You feeling confident at all?
Very confident. 5 out of 5 coming your way, baby.
Right. See, that's the confidence we need. So many people, I don't know, for whatever reason, whether it's my sister, whether it's Lauren, my cousin Sarah, everyone's nervous coming out. I don't know why. It doesn't take much knowledge.
No, not at all. Just a little headline. Just got to decide which one it is.
That's it. And at least in Sarah's case, she claims she doesn't watch the news, so I thought for sure she would sync it up. She got 4 to 5. So,
oh, nice.
So yeah. So it's a crapshoot. That's what we try to make it. But are you ready for question number 1?
Yep.
All right, here we go. A Florida woman was arrested after she tried to kiss strangers at a bar and refused to leave the establishment after police showed up. Is this something that happened in 2020 or only happened in the Apocalypse?
2020.
1 for 1. Look at that. I got fired up. Look at this guy.
Off to a hot start.
Her name is Audra Adams. She went to a bar in Florida, tried to kiss strangers, while then also simultaneously calling 911 5 different times to complain that the people in the bar were not respecting the social distancing guidelines. She's then charged with trespassing and disorderly conduct and also resisting an officer and the misuse of 911 when she was sitting in the parking lot and refused to leave. So think about that.
Only in Florida, man.
Only in Florida could you call the cops, complain about people being too close, as you are simultaneously trying to make out with strangers. Oh,
unreal, man.
Florida is providing some great content for this show. I'll tell you that.
That's
But you are 1 for 1. Are you ready for number 2?
Yep.
A politician in Oregon was busted for breaking their own stay-at-home orders after they got busted on their boat over the weekend after urging residents to stay home and avoid the water. 2020 or Apocalypse?
Gonna go with 2020.
That is thankfully the Apocalypse. That did not happen to where you have actual politicians saying, stay at home, everyone, don't go to the lake this weekend. No, it's Memorial Day weekend. Don't go to the lake. And then they are on their own. Go to the lake. Thankfully.
I could see it happening now.
You could, right?
Yeah, dude,
man.
Terrible.
I had to look it up to make sure that didn't happen first. Because I'm trying to make these realistic, but can't be fake if it's actually happening. But thankfully not the case. 1 out of 2. Are you number 3? Are you ready for number 3? Are you number 3? Are you ready for number 3?
Hit me.
All right, this one should really, you should have an expertise in this one. A drive-through strip club was created at a restaurant to give patrons a show while they're waiting for their food orders. 2020 or Apocalypse?
Oh, man.
So you can go to McDonald's, big wait, no problem, drive through, there's a boom. Drive-in strip club right there. You have the ladies dancing on the poles to your left, to your right, respecting social distancing, while getting a show and you're waiting for your money.
I want to say Apocalypse, but I feel like that's 2020. Hold on a second.
Oh, okay. He is debating.
I'm going to go with Apocalypse on that one.
Oh, that is real. That is 2020, man. Can you believe it? The ingenuity. You got to give him credit for creativity. A restaurant in Portland devised a tent where, again, patrons can drive through, look at the strippers on the stages on the sides of their car, so you can watch the ladies dance, give them a tip, but it's all respecting social distancing guidelines and giving us something to look at while you're waiting for your food. How about that? Talk about really just.
Give me one of those out here at Chipotle.
Oh, you're listening to Chipotle out in Long Island. Because guess what? You have some customers that all of a sudden will be going a lot more. I can promise you that. Buy stock in Chipotle because their business will be skyrocketing.
No more delivery for me. I'll go right to the store.
Oh, yeah. He'll be there 3 times a day. It's Chipotle, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Hell yeah.
Big fan of the food. Big fan of the food.
Big fan.
All right, so 1 out of 3, but hey, you still have a chance of the money here. You get these last 2, so still a big chance here for you. Are you ready for number 4?
Yep.
A nurse in a hospital was suspended because she wore nothing but a bra and underwear under her see-through PPE gown. 2020 or apocalypse?
That's got to be apocalypse.
That's got to be 2020. That is real. This is not made up. A nurse in Russia.
My God.
So all the way in Russia. Russia.
Of course, Jesus.
Working in a all-male coronavirus wing, by the way, claimed she was too hot to wear clothes underneath the gown, and that's why she wore just her bra and underwear. Claimed that she didn't realize it was see-through, but she eventually was disciplined by the hospital, and she was suspended. That is a real story. I can promise you this. I'm sure none of the patients were complaining. That's for sure. All right.
My favorite nurse.
Are you ready for number 5? To get out of the gutter here.
Yep.
You're tied for last place. Got out of the gutter.
This one can't tie for last place here.
Number 5. A man in Indiana has yet to leave his couch except for bathroom trips since the quarantine first started, as he vowed on social media on day 1 of the shutdown that he wouldn't leave his couch until things returned to normal. 2020 or apocalypse?
That sounds like me, so I'm going with 2020.
Well, I wrote apocalypse. Maybe I should change it because now it's actually happening. But thankfully, that is not real, at least, that no one has claimed to be a couch potato solely until the quarantine is over. I guess it's either protested or burning awareness, but that is not real, not the case. And definitely is not happening, at least in 2020. Not yet. These are all subject to change, by the way, because 2020, as we see, take a wide turn. So may have to go back and retroactively change some of these scores here. But as of the moment, on May 28th, that is not the case. So, Maul, man, coming in confident, coming in hot, 1 out of 5.
Yeah, that's rough, man.
Not great. Jeez. Maybe it's, I bet it's a question. Now I'm starting to actually put some thought into them. Before I got criticized heavily for these questions being too easy, so I apologize to those who went early. But were they fair at least?
I thought so.
Okay.
I thought they could all go either way.
Okay. All right. Yep. I'll take it. That's what we're trying here, where they both the real ones sound fake and the fake ones sound real. That's what we're going for. So before you leave, I'm just curious. So you're a man out in Long Beach, by the beach. What's the deal there? Is the beach open? People, can you do anything, or is it everything still shut down?
Yeah. So I mean, they pretty much, obviously, like everywhere else, everything's only open for like pickup or delivery. Beach is open to residents only now that Memorial Day hit, so we got to go get beach passes. And the boardwalk is, honestly, I'm not even sure. I think it's still closed. It might be open though.
You think they'll open up? I'm nervous. I really thought that things would be open up this summer. I'm starting to get less and less confident.
I mean, I genuinely don't think we're gonna have a full summer. If anything, I think things will start opening up late July, early August. But even at that point, I think a lot of people are still going to be a little worried to go out and go party and go to bars and clubs and stuff. I mean, at least I hope so, you know.
I know.
There's got to be a second wave. I mean, everyone is out on Memorial Day weekend. You know, it's the nice weather. It's hard to stay inside, but.
I know. Oh, so here's the main question then. Are we going to have a Maldonado backyard party? It'd be a epic yearly party in the summer. What's the status on that so far?
So we are obviously playing that by ear, and right now pool's open, ready to go. Backyard's pretty much ready to go. We're kind of just waiting for the go ahead to have it, and we'll schedule it. Obviously, we like to do a 4th of July weekend, but that's probably I genuinely don't think that's happening. So I guess we'll play it by ear. Obviously, want to follow all the regulations and make sure everybody's comfortable coming over and partying. But...
You sound so official. You know, we're going to wait for the guidelines, wait for the governor to give us the A-OK. We're patiently waiting.
We're not going to have a bunch of people over, 50 people coming over and getting hammered and spreading more shit around. So
that is very true. Do not want that. We're gonna have a Long Beach party at all, or is that also TBD?
Again, that's more TBD too. We definitely want to have people over like ASAP, but
I know it's not ideal.
We're not trying to die out here over a couple beers.
Are you sure? Come on, man. I'm willing to risk my life for a big party. Haven't been there yet. Haven't seen the new place yet, so I'm definitely.
You got to come by soon, man.
Hopefully sooner and later.
Socially distanced get together on the front porch.
That's it. Nothing wrong with that. Malds, we appreciate you, buddy. We have some comments writing in. My sister welcomes you to the 1 out of 5 club. So there you go. You two are holding down the basement strong.
Yeah, that's rough.
But yeah, we appreciate you coming out. Hopefully I'll see you soon. I can't remember the last time I saw you. Hopefully, whether it's a Maldonado party, a Long Beach party, hopefully we're back to normal at some point.
Yeah, definitely, man. Hopefully.
All right. Stay well, buddy. All right. Thanks for playing.
Thanks for having me on the show, man. Appreciate it. That
is my guy, Christian Maldonado, 1 out of 5. But hey, hopefully, these Maldonado parties, let me tell you, legendary. Legendary, once a summer, a big banger, great backyard. Talk about a perfect party backyard. Christian has the perfect party backyard, huge backyard, great pool, volleyball net setup, little cornhole. Any backyard activity that you want to play, he has set up. So